So everyone, welcome back, Hawks from Room podcast. Um, the Hawks have had a really good summer league team. It's just really unfortunate that they won't make the playoffs. Or I guess the tournament semifinals is what they call it. So summer league has an interesting way of parsing out who makes it to the semifinals. Right? It's basically just whoever has the best record and the best point differential as the tiebreaker. The Hawks are 4-0. They have beat their opponents by a total of 32 points. So they have a +8 net rating or point differential, essentially. The teams ahead of them are Toronto, Sacramento, Charlotte, and one other team I'm forgetting. And it kind of sucks because this summer league team has been a lot of fun to watch. Now we still will get one more game. They'll play one more fifth game that some details will we have to wait to see though because it takes a bit for them to schedule everything out. But also Timberwolves is the other team. Uh, they won tonight's. They had to win by 19, I think, to be able to have a higher point differential than the Kings. They ended up winning tonight's game or this afternoon's game by 4 points. Um, Back-to-back big games from Jack McVay, who I don't think the Hawks will give a two-way, but he's definitely an NBA player for some team somewhere. He'll probably get a two-way. Asa Newell, 14 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks. Didn't shoot it really well. Shot 6 for 12, over 2, 0 for 2 from the 3-point line, 2 for 6 from the free throw line. But I mean, he just stuffed the stat sheet. So we'll take a look at some of his film. Kobe Johnson started in place of for not JT Toppin. I said that last podcast too. Jacob Toppin, Obi Toppin's brother, who's on a two-way for the Hawks. He had some sort of hip/groin issue in game 3, so he did not play in today's game. Kobe Buffkin, 14.6 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal. Efficiency wasn't there tonight. Shot 35%, 5 for 14 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3. Took care of the ball, though, although he didn't generate as many assists as he has in the last couple games. And then Nico Djurisic didn't have the best game either. 7 points, 3 rebounds, 2 stocks, 3 for 8 from the field, 3 turnovers, 2 assists. Now, I want to make sure that when I say this, it's not taken as an excuse or trying to explain away some of Kobe's struggles in the summer league, and to an extent Nicola's as well. I've watched a lot of summer league basketball, mainly because there are guys in this draft that I'm really invested in, but also because I feel like it gives me a sense of relativity or ability to understand like how good certain teams are, and so I can grade how a player performs against a certain type of defensive coverage or a certain um, system that he's playing against. The teams that the Hawks have played against: Miami, Houston, Memphis. Those are 3 of the 4 teams they played against. They also played against Phoenix. Those 3 are without a doubt 3 of the toughest teams to play in summer league. And it's not about like their offensive talent; it's all about their defensive talent. Okay, summer league is barely NBA basketball, if I'm going to be honest. A lot of teams are abusing the foul threshold, so every player gets 10 fouls. Because of that, the bonus threshold is also higher. And so you see extremely physical play. The average summer league team turns the ball over more than 3 times more per game than they do than the regular season. Toronto is leading summer league in turnovers forced at 29 and a quarter per game, 29.25 per game. The only way the Hawks summer league schedule could have been tougher in terms of defensive competition would have been for them to have also played Toronto. And what stands out to me is despite the fact that they're playing an incredibly tough defensive schedule for a team that presumably maybe only had a week or a week and a half to play together, they're second in points per game and they had the 4th fewest turnovers per game. Yes, Kobe had a non-turnover game against Houston. That wasn't great. But for the duration of the entire summer league, he's averaging 4.3 assists to 3.3 turnovers. You would hope that the assists would be higher. I do think some of that's skewed by the non-turnover game. Otherwise, he's taking good care of the ball. But what it also speaks to me is that the conversion rate on the assist is definitely higher with better competition around him. Now, then the question is be asked, like, okay, if he's turning the ball over against this competition, what does it look like against NBA level perimeter defenders? And I would just say, look, it is about the type of defenders they're playing against tonight or this afternoon. He had to play against Jemai Meshack, who is like legit defensive player of the year caliber in college, not in the NBA, but he's like very Luke Dort-esque. They have pretty much the same measurements and they play very similar. And you constantly have to go against full court pressure. They're digging. The Hawks bigs aren't particularly great at doing handoffs, so those were always getting knocked away. Nikola had a couple rough moments, so we'll take a look at that film. But I want to start with Asa because again, against a really tough defensive team, he didn't shoot the ball particularly well, but you could see his impact was able to transcend his shooting struggles. So what's on the offensive glass, his versatility defensively, a lot of very encouraging things from him. Now we'll start by looking at the highlight reel I did, and then we'll get into more granular stuff. Like I said, overall, pretty good game for him considering he didn't shoot the ball well. I love what I saw from him as a weak side rim protector. He was really active in doing his positioning work early, so he really wasn't caught out of position when he was trying to chase guys down. I love that he's aware that his man number 65 is here, but he's also keyed in on the ball, and so he's able to time this block perfectly, give number 65 enough cushion to think that he has enough chance, enough space to take that shot, and it just swatted away. This came in sort of semi-transition. He just outruns Armando Baycott, is able to get on the rim. What's interesting to me, and I think this clip really illustrates it, Ace is I knew he was fluid, but seeing him put the ball on the floor and run in transition, I almost was like coming in the summer league expecting him to be this like awesome vertical athlete, like somewhat how like John Collins came in and he was just dunking everything. I don't think Asa is quite the explosive. I don't think he's quite nearly as explosive, but I think he may be in even a more valuable sense have a different type of athleticism, which is this fluidity and this coordination in the open floor, because this type of mobility also translates to the defensive end where he can switch, cover gaps and all that, right? He will have to get stronger because like even this, like when I saw him take that gather dribble and step for two or do like a where he pounds the ball here and then he gathers on both feet, I'm expecting a lot more burst off the ground here than what we got. Now he finishes this through contact, which is impressive, and we'll look at the other angle too, but like he barely gets off the ground. And I do think he loses a lot of momentum when he makes that contact. So it's something to keep an eye on, but I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing. It's just more so like a quirk about how like it's really hard to be extremely vertically explosive and have like great lateral mobility and agility and fleet feet and coordination in the open court, right? Like then we're talking about like a Giannis. But I do think he has special mobility for his size. Like here's another great example of a weak side block where he shuffles over, but waits just long enough to where Cam Spencer thinks that passing window has closed, and he's able to block it. This was a huge block at the end of the game where the Hawks were up 3. Again, you see him handle it in transition and finish above the rim. On this play, he went to post up. The dig comes from number 25. Because Kobe relocates, and Kobe relocates at the same exact time that dig happens. And so because of that, Cam Spencer leaves Javon Johnson to go pick up Kobe Buffkin, who he feels is going to be open. And so now Javon cuts into the open space and finishes off that pass from Asa. Here, Asa was functioning as the roller for a good amount, just because like the other bigs on the Hawks roster weren't necessarily playing well. He got hacked on the offensive glass. He got hacked rolling. You could see that he could really help the Hawks get into the bonus quicker. What's interesting about him too is like when you talk about someone who can get out in transition like that, but also has this offensive rebounding ability, you get this really unique combination of great offensive rebounding ability in a very agile body, right? Like for example, Clint Capella, for everything he did to help the Hawks win the possession game on the glass, he sort of gave that back by not being the quickest mover in transition and not being dynamic in transition, where like he's purely a rim runner. He can't pass it, he can't handle it, and he can't space it. Asa kind of allows the Hawks to continue to play that very up-tempo pace, but he's also a great offensive rebounder, at least at the college level. We have to see if that translates to the NBA level, and he could be a plus spacer. So that gives you a lot of optionality, when you're thinking about different ways you can win the possession battle. This possession, so this is Asa in the half court. Again, you see how active he is defensively. So he's guarding number 3 here, but he's functioning as the low man. Heads on a swivel. He knows where his man is, but he knows that the biggest threat on the floor is number 8. When the ball ping pongs around, you're going to see the Hawks do a really good job Xing out, right? So I love how quickly they react. Like, it was almost simultaneous, right? This is, I'm forgetting his name, but you see Kobe Johnson peels off to Cam Spencer. The Nelly Josephs falls back to the big number 25, and now Asa has a guy in the corner. As Asa guards the guy in the corner, I'm sorry, I don't know why this keeps resetting. Yep. So I'll let this play through until we get to the point that I'm talking about. But now everyone's reset their matchups. The ball gets swung to the wing on the corner. Asa has him on the island. When he drives, he's in great position defensively. Falls a little bit for the hesitation. He's got to learn how to use his size here, right? Like, I think he's trying to time up the block. And so because he tries to time it and that pump fake throws him off, he's not able to get off the ground quick enough, ends up scoring the bucket. He took 2 threes in this game. I like this one that he took out of a pop. So Kobe drives it, and then he's going to just get it back to Asa. He's hit Asa with a couple of these behind the backs. Quick, decisive 3. I like the way it looks. Just a little bit long. Yeah, that was the block into the closeout or into the Kobe finish. Here you can see his ground coverage ability. So this is a swing pass from number 10, Javon Small. It's going to G.G. Jackson, who's Asa's man, but Asa was down low. So Asa, you see how quickly he gets out for the contest. That's decent for as deep as the paint as he was. And I think this ends up being a bucket from Javon Small. He draws that foul. Now he put the ball on the floor here and ends up missing it. But again, like, this is really good fluidity. And especially if he's going to develop as like a guy who can run handoffs, if he can also do stuff like this and drive out the corner, then I think you've got a really useful player. You see his somewhat of his limitation as a paint scorer. So like he's only really comfortable going to his left hand out of these situations. He prefers a spin to his left hand. Ideally you don't want to cut this drive short, or if you are, like, don't hesitate on that hop step and that gather. Just go straight into the floater. It kind of gives Gigi enough time to get back to him. That's when he kind of drove into contact. This time he drives into a crowd a little bit. So again, this is a good defensive team. This is Meshack, who was huge defensively for Tennessee this season and was for multiple seasons. You got to be aware of where the help is, and he doesn't really pay attention to where Meshack is. So when he tries to slow step here, it just allows Meshack to get a hand on the ball. Probably ideally you want to spin to get away from the help or kick it out anticipating that dig, but it's a tougher situation for your rookie big man to be in. I love how quickly he went to find a body here. So he's not even defending this big man, but because there's 2 on the ball and McVay had to get out to number 8, look how quickly Asa identifies the biggest threat as a rebounder, and he's able to go and snag it. That's the fluid handle in transition. We talked about the cutter. This is a missed drive from him, but it's confident. It's good to see him do it. So here comes the screen for Kobe. Kobe's going to get to him on the short roll. At this point, I want to see him get around Cam Spencer. You got to be able to. So what the Grizzlies are doing here are basically trying to cut off the short roll early. So Cam Spencer meets him before he even gets the ball. And so because there's not as much of a runway for Asa to get to the basket, if that makes sense, right? So he has to create that advantage himself. If you're not comfortable doing that, it probably needs to be a swing pass over here. It's not easy for a big man to step around a guard or go through a guard of this. I think it's a nice idea to get to his stronger hand, but the Nelly Jr. Joseph is already in it. Like if the floor is flipped and it's an empty side pick and roll and 35, Nelly Jr. Joseph is over here, maybe it's better to get to your left hand, but you drive it to the help here. Just makes it tougher because he's a good offensive rebounder, he's able to get it back. Then they're going to reset. Here comes the screen for Kobe. Kobe again gets it to him. At this point, you should probably dump it off the 35. Unfortunately, he's not able to get to it. And then again, you see his proclivity to get to his left hand in these scenarios. He's just going to go to his strongest suit here and ends up being a little short. So showing the offensive rebounds already. He just does a good job running the floor. I think it's this is on the defensive glass here. So after he gets the rebound, he's gonna get it back to McVay. He's gonna keep running. And so that's the benefit of having your big be able to push the floor to or push the ball. Because Asa is the one bringing the ball up, and typically it's guards who are the first ones back, because they're typically above the break during offense. And so when the big is pushing the ball up the floor, it allows you to overload and use that size advantage. And so because he runs the floor and sets himself up in the dunker spot, easy 2 points just from that. Now let's take a look at some Kobe film. Up to this point, Kobe is averaging 19.5 points, 5.3 rebounds, 4.3 assists, 1 steal per game, 0.8 blocks, and 3.3 turnovers. He's shooting 35% from the floor, 25% from three. Obviously not good. Wish I was better. But he's shooting 96% from the free throw line on 28 attempts. So he's averaging 7 free throw attempts per game. This is a bit shameless, but among players who have played at least 2 summer league games, there are only 5 guys who have who are averaging at least 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. Now, it was a bit more ethical before tonight's game. He actually was averaging 25 and 5, which is, a more standardized query. But we're talking about Terrence Shannon, AJ Mitchell, and then AJ Mitchell, and then Jalen Tyson, Kobe Buffkin, David Jones Garcia. Terrence Shannon Jr., AJ Mitchell, Jalen Tyson are all guys that have pretty universally considered to step into being real contributors in their second and or third NBA season. I think that it's good company for Kobe to be in. I will note that he has the worst field goal percentage of those guys while taking the second most shots. He shoots just 35% from the floor, like I mentioned. A lot of that is because his three-pointer hasn't fallen. Like David Jones Garcia, for example, is shooting 63% from three. Terrence Shannon is shooting 38%. Kobe's getting to the free throw line more than any of those guys. He's shooting better than any of those guys, too. What really stands out to me, too, is the rebounding as a guard. This is something that I'm working on for a video, but it's important that you have a guard that can do that because for a similar reason that I pointed out for Asa, when Kobe's able to go get the ball, it sets up the offense quicker. He usually has his head on a swivel already. And it's also important when you have a guy who's like an energizer, but like Meshack, who's guarding you and it's who your matchup on defense, because Meshack is going to go for the offensive rebound. So you got to be able to secure that defensive rebound by yourself. This is what I mean too by like Kobe surveying the floor. Like before he even puts the ball on the ground, he's looking ahead to see if there's a transition look ahead opportunity. And that's not the things a lot of bigs are comfortable with doing, right? And so it's important to get the ball into your guard's hands as quickly as possible. There's no better way to do that than if they get on the glass. And having guards who do things that guards typically don't, typically is a good translation for impact. So Meshack ended up, he gets this, well, Flagler comes over as a low man, right? This is a dunk that puts Memphis up 1 with 2 minutes to go. So when Meshack gets this dunk, he twists his ankle. And throughout the game, there were some difficulties with Kobe to getting downhill and scoring inside. So he goes right at Meshack, which I like to see. Obviously, hoping that he has no long-term injuries, but you got to attack someone when you have an advantage. What I saw that was a consistent theme, though, was Kobe not necessarily taking advantage of these chances at the rim. In my opinion, I think that he's perfectly able to get this in as a shot at the rim. Now, this is an awesome pass. But I think if he gathers high here, you can beat Baycott to the glass or reverse it. This ends up being an awesome pass, though. He's able to wrap this around, and then it ends up being open 3 with Adam Flagler, who misses it. But it is a pattern that I saw in tonight's game. And I'll show you a couple other clips as well. But it's something that kind of stood out to me. He just sort of got into these opportunities where it's like, okay, maybe he should have shot this, or maybe he should have got this all the way to the rim. I think this is the baseline drive, which is very similar. Or this is a corner 3. I think that he probably should have shot this. Now, this is a very good closeout from number 4 on Memphis. Oh, shoot, sorry. It's a very good closeout for number 4 on Memphis. Like, it isn't the most open shot, but considering where the shot clock was and how well he shot it from the corners, I would have liked to see him get this up, or, one dribble pump fake and put it up. I wonder how much of his, like, passivity at the rim was that he felt like he was getting blocked. So here he gets a step on GG at first, but then he's not able to create a lot of space. He kept going to like this 2-footed gather instead of trying to step around or get to a sweeping hook floater or get to the other side of the basket. He kept going to this 2-footed like landing, and it felt to me like there are times where it kind of like took away his ability to actually score at the rim. So this time he doesn't do the 2-footed gather, but he creates the space from against number 4. And instead of going into his body like he did in previous games, this is a weak take in my opinion. And because he takes it in a weak fashion, he ends up smoking it. Like this has to be an outstretched finish, right? You can't bring it back above your head towards a defender. It has to be a 1-2. I'm going to try and elevate and finish above the rim and try to kiss it off the glass. This technique that he tried to do, and it has worked for him to draw fouls. It didn't work there, but I don't think that was the best decision. We also saw him overthink it down the stretch, so not necessarily his fault. I just think that he committed to the pass, and because Memphis switched everything, Memphis did not switch. Like typically when you see a team run Spain pick and roll, they're going to switch everything. But I do think that this is really good defense from Memphis, and they weren't expecting the guard to peel off to Kobe. And Kobe wasn't expecting that either. Like his first read was to Asa. Asa also doesn't really roll that hard, and so Kobe gets caught in no man's land. But this is where he needs to be aggressive attacking the rim. Like you're going up against another guard. Javon Small is 6'1" in shoes. He's still very athletic, but you have an opportunity here to score at the rim, and he defaulted to passing first, which got him in trouble. You could see how frustrated he was. Like he just walked over there, put the ball in his hands. He had another chance though. Not this one. It was. I'm forgetting exactly where it was. Maybe I need to start timestamping this. I'll find it, but yeah, he ended up getting to the cup on one. Oh, I think it's in one of the Asa clips. Yeah, sorry. So it's in the Asa clips where he gets this block. So off the Asa block, boom, Hawks are in semi-transition. Kobe has the ball. Defense isn't set, which I wonder if that kind of plays into his aggressiveness here. But he just puts he puts his body into Javon Small. Tough finish. Tough finish. And it was a much needed bucket here. Hawks are down 3. They hadn't scored in 5 minutes. And this is good aggression. Again, I do wonder why he's not like in college he would do this too, but not nearly as often. Like I don't really see those outstretched finishes from him that I think where he really could use his length to his advantage. Like he has a +4 wingspan. Let's look at a couple other clips before we move on to Nico. There are some transition things where I was like, I don't know if I love that. So here, Hawks semi have numbers, right? They have 2 men back. Grizzlies have 3 people who are back. This is good hustle from number 4. Cam Spencer beats Kobe to the spot. Best option here is probably to skip it to Asa or to try to step around earlier. around Cam Spencer or just bring it back out. Ends up getting an offensive foul. Now, if I remember correctly, I believe this is another example where I felt like he should have been a little bit more aggressive. I like that they're using Asa as a hub. I like the comfortability, put the ball on the floor, look for other options. So here comes Kobe. He's going to flip, ask for the screen to go the other way. Here this is a really weird layup angle to me. I don't quite understand the vision here. If you're going to drive baseline, like there's no better way. And what I honestly think why he did this too is like this help defender from number 4 kind of deters him from taking a reverse layup. And I wonder if he was trying to get back to his strong hand with the left hand. It's pretty awkward. I think even if you do go for a reverse layup, it's probably a good chance you get fouled. I don't love his process driving. Here's an example of where it worked though. And again, he is getting 7 free throw attempts per game. That's very encouraging. Here he's against the pressure from Javon Small. Here you see the similar 2-footed gather in the paint. Not typical of a guard, but he's able to get the big man in the air and then finish through the contact. Gets the free throw line. This is a cross-court pass. So nice little set to get him going downhill. This is where I just feel like, while I like the pass, I want to see him go and attack the rim. You know, like it may like, you know, where he ends up kind of feels like he doesn't get that advantage, but you can beat them to the spot here. And I don't really know the explanation for him playing so tentatively. And I thought that there was a lot of physicality related stuff, like in terms of him not wanting to, you know, get the shoulder hurt, but he just takes these rounded ankles instead of sometimes driving and forcing the issue. Like if this is a straight line drive, Cam Spencer is going to have to foul him, or he's going to have to commit a lot harder, and then maybe that pass is even quicker to Kobe Johnson. It is good that he's against the free throw line though. Like at the very least, like that's a bankable skill. It's a reliable sort of indicator for the ability to create separation for yourself. Again, here's the thing though, like I don't know what this is. Like especially in summer league, there aren't a lot of bigs that are gonna. Now he has gotten blocked in different games. There aren't a lot of bigs that are gonna block his shot, and he needs to be comfortable making plays in the air, because even if it's I'm not going to be able to get my own layup. You know, maybe it's a dump off, maybe it's a skip to the corner. Here he is finishing on the interior. You'll probably notice again though, it is a 2-footed finish, which isn't. I just think I wish it wasn't his default. I just wish that, like, you know, this is a wrinkle he would do, not necessarily everything, not something he goes through every time. This isn't a good way or good time to pull it out though, because of how crowded it was, and so he's playing under control. Probably gets fouled too, and still is able to make it. If I had to think about his summer league, like up to this point, you know, obviously the efficiency leaves something to be desired, but outside of his, what I don't really know how to characterize is like this 2-footed rim attack, rim pressure type thing. I've seen enough to feel like he could be a part of the committee, and that's really all I was looking for coming into the season. Nico's a guy that I've enjoyed a lot. He had some issues tonight. You see the full court pressure though, right? Like Memphis is definitely try-harding. Even more so than like a team like Miami. He's got Meshack matched up on him, who's, you know, basically Gen Z Lou Dort. You see how he locks and trails him through the screens. Again, this is my point where the bigs that the Hawks are playing with don't necessarily know how to protect the ball in handoffs, and they aren't the best screeners. Stevens just throws the ball to Nico. When a big sets a handoff, they've got to use their body as a shield, right? You want him to be able to put it directly into the ball handler's chest, like a running back, like when a quarterback hands off to a running back. That's how you protect the ball. Because he doesn't, and that ball is just live, Meshack gets a hand on it. Now the Hawks got to reset. You see how strong he is as a perimeter defender. Nico tries to drive. He gathers. Somehow was able to get the shot off. It wasn't great for him, man. We got some other clips of like what he looked like versus pressure. So again, Meshack full court, 13 seconds on the shot clock, hand checking. Here comes a screen from McVay. You see the swipe of the ball. Nico's got Gigi on him, drives into traffic, end up calling a foul. It felt to me at first throughout the game, it felt like Nico was losing a bit of confidence. It's exhausting to play against a team like this, man. Like Toronto's probably the team that I would least want to play against if I was in summer league. But I mean, you're seeing multiple bodies every time you drive, and for someone like Nico, who I think it really thrives off getting downhill, he got himself in trouble a bit. Again, here's another example against pressure. Here's Meshack riding his hip. Nico does a good job to able to get himself out of that situation, but you probably have to get off the ball quicker than this, right? You've got both corners filled. You've got a trailing shooter. McVay and Stevens are both good shooters. Ball's got to be out quicker to the corner here. Then it ends up being Jack White. But he was able to remain aggressive. Took 8 shots, less than he has in the last couple of games. But I like that he's, and to my point in some previous podcasts, he remains poised. You know, even if the ball gets knocked away, he knows where he wants to go. He knows where his spots are. Defensively, the thing I was watching for was engagement, especially again against Meshack. We saw Kobe, clean the glass. Here, Nico's going to put a body on Meshack, and then go get the ball. Here, I kind of feel like he second guessed himself in a way that I hadn't seen him do in other summer league games. Like this is a pretty automatic shot. Last couple of games, he passes out of it, and then you see him like kind of drop his head in what he thought was going to be your turnover. And then he gets the ball back, and he just, at this point now, he just has to chuck a contested 3 that he just steps forward on and ends up missing. But I was a little bit worried about his confidence level at this point, and then he sort of turned up a bit in the second quarter. Here he's going to draw a foul after the play, or knowing that Meshack's really aggressive. So good job to disengage himself for Meshack off the ball. He's going to run tightly off that first screen and then run tightly off this handoff, knowing that Meshack's going to be aggressive to try to get his shot. He's going to, in the other angle, you can see him look back at Meshack and pull up. Knowing that, I think that's a really smart play. Now, I do think there's a tendency to kind of excuse bad defense with like smart fouls. Jokic does this a lot. What I like from Nico here is oh wait, dang, this is not the clip I thought I clipped. Sorry. But there was a clip where basically Nico was on the ball. He got caught on the screen, and then he grabbed the screener once the ball handler got in front of him because he knew Stevens wasn't going to be able to contain him. But here, Nico goes for that pump fake and tries to body up Gigi, but ends up fouling him. This is one of the craziest continuation calls I've ever seen, though. I mean, he wasn't even close. Like, he wasn't even close to – I understand, like, the whole gather thing, but the foul is here. We're giving 2 steps for continuation now? I don't like it. There's no way. We all know Trae Young's not getting that. This is a good defensive possession from Nico. So he's pressed up on number 4 here. Now he's going to pass off an assignment to number 8. As number 8 drives, first drive cut off, right? So he forces him towards the baseline, forces him to change his line. Then boom, he tries to cut through the middle. Very well timed swipe down to take the ball away. Very good defensive possession from him. Good to see that from him because his engagement waxed and waned throughout the summer league, right? So here, shut down the baseline, flip your hips, open back up, time that gather, time that swipe down perfectly once number 8 gathered. Here's another on-ball defensive clip. So here's Meshack on the ball. Nico gets around that brush screen. Tames that drive, meets him with his chest, keeps backing up. Kind of pulled the chair out from Meshack a little bit here, which ended up forcing the travel. So you see he steps back, not because he was just giving the guy space, ends up forcing the travel. Now, this first part of this drive, is a little rough, but you see how relentless he is. He's going to continue to get John Hill. So he goes for that first cut, spins back, isn't quite able to knock it down. You see how aggressive Meshack is. Niko realizes that, and he's going to drive through 3 guys. Great gather. Finishes with the left hand. This is a really good transition read from him. So ball gets kicked ahead. He's going to draw the defender, wrap it around the Jack White. Jack finishes at the cup. Asa Newell closes out. Hawks are off and running. Niko's running. Probably was an and 1 too. Now in the fourth, he ended up not playing down the stretch. He got pulled after this shot. I didn't think it was a terrible shot. I like the idea. It's just similar to what Kobe did. Once you have a step on someone, you have to burst. And because he goes for like this attempt to draw a foul, he ends up getting blocked. If you could see it on this other angle too, he really had no shot at making this once he slowed down. And because he tried to go for the foul as opposed to like convert the layup, yeah, it didn't end up looking that great. I like this pass though because it shows how quickly he can process the game. So another example too where I feel like Kobe kind of slows down here where he has the lane. Anytime you get a screen from a big and the other guy guarding the roller is completely out of position defensively, I mean, this lane is wide open. Why not attack it? Kobe slows down, which he gets bailed out a little bit by Kobe Johnson cutting back door. But I did not like that he didn't attack that lane. Now, off this offensive rebounding, though, you see 2 things. First off, Asa never stops moving. He also understands that because this forced a closeout from Cam Spencer, if I can get to the paint, Cam Spencer is going to be guarding me. That's barbecue chicken alert. Cam Spencer is begging for a switch. Look how quickly Niko processes this. Gets the ball right to him. Finishes for 2 points. Now, the commentator in today's game was rambling the entire game, but one of the things he did say did make me think about how similar the Hawks are playing in summer league to how they want to play under Quinn Snyder for the big league team. And the fact that they're one of the best offenses in summer league, they're taking care of the ball, they're being disruptive. They've performed relatively well against some of the better defenses in the league. It makes me feel good about the overall ethos of Hawks basketball. I think it's in a very healthy state. And then for the last 5 minutes, I do want to touch on Caleb Houstan because I don't think that he's going to be a crazy addition for the Hawks in terms of like an unreal like contributor. Like he's going to be a massive, steal, or like we're going to be looking at like, oh, how did he sign for a minimum? Or no. I don't think it's going to be like that. But I do think he's pretty emblematic of, just smart decision making, and also the Hawks complete commitment to putting size on the wings, and that they didn't have last year, right? So Caleb Houston's 6'8". He's 6'11". He has a 6'11" wingspan. That's a true wing. The Hawks played almost 1,500 minutes combined with Vit Krejci, Terrence Mann, Earl Garrison Matthews at the 3. That's not great. Now, Vit Krejci, I believe, will still be in the rotation. I just don't think he'll be in the rotation as a wing. I think he'll be in the rotation as more of a 2 guard. If he does play wing, I'd assume they would be bigger in the front court than they were in the past. Because while he's shot the ball at a very high rate in terms of both volume and percentage, and he makes really good decisions, he just doesn't have the size and physicality to guard wings in the NBA. Houston's also a great play finisher, 88th percentile spot-up shooter, 90th percentile free throw shooter. He shot 88.2% of the line. He's an 84th percentile spacer. All that means is play type effectiveness on spot-ups, handoffs, and off screens. He was 5 points better than league average efficiency-wise there. He's also a good transition scorer, 78th percentile, 1.28 points per possession. Connectivity-wise, I don't think that he thinks the game incredibly fast, like someone like a Kennard or even a V. Krejci or guys like that. But he does make quick decisions, and that's what's important, right? Like Quinn mentioned this during the post game last year, but when you pass up shots, it leads to turnovers because typically, if you pass up on an open shot, then it ends up being a forced tougher shot, or someone gets put in a bad position, so they try to pass out of it. And so, being accepting of your role, like Caleb Houstan at times was he was below a tertiary offensive option. He was a quaternary or whatever it may be for quad, right? The fourth option offensively. But he had one of the better scoring turnover percentages in the league. This 91st percentile, which is basically the non-pass turnovers divided by the true shot attempts. It looks at like how it's an assessment of like how well do you take care of the ball in scoring possessions. And the fact that he's also in a 94th percentile in quick decision-making assists, I think that it's pretty optimistic to say that he can come in and be Garrison Matthews with size and a bit better processing. And as your 11th to 12th man, I think that's completely fine. The Hawks definitely do still have a hole at wing, and he's not the long-term solution. That's why he's on a 1-year deal on a minimum. He has 44 two-point attempts in 3 years. He is the tallest player in the NBA that has never dunked. He shot 54.5% at the rim, less than one rim field goal attempt per 100. His foot speed on defense leaves a lot to be desired, and he has an overall lack of athleticism. Like I think the dunk stat kind of conveys that alone, but you see his lack of athleticism when he has to guard against guys on switches that are just a little bit more powerful, a little bit quicker, a little bit faster than them. But again, he's supposed to be the 11th or 12th man, and at that price point with the Hawks' needs, he's a legit shooter. He's not a movement shooter. He's much more like a stationary / spot up guy. But I think that's completely fine because the thing is, like, it's not about trying to fix everything or trying to address every area of need in one move. Like, it's all about an aggregate, right? And I want to share just one last thing with y'all that, sort of contextualizes the Caleb Houstan move, but everything that the Hawks have done this offseason. I will be doing a full video on this because I think they're building something special. But in my draft guide, I said that there are 4 big areas of need I think the Hawks need to address, especially when Jalen Johnson went down. It really showcased this. But play finishing, the Hawks generated great shot quality, but weren't able to convert on those looks. Their connectivity, because Snyder wants a motion offense, they need guys to make quick decisions. Positional size, this is a much better defense process-wise in last year, but they just weren't big enough. And then creation upside, like they were the worst creation offense in the NBA. They've added 7 new players. If you include all the acquisitions and moves from throughout the season last year, they've turned over, I think they had 12 different guys on the roster last year. But positional size, they've increased their average height by an inch. They replaced those, like I said, the 1,500 minutes of Veet, Gary, and Man at the 3 with Nikhil, Caleb, Djurisic, Jacob Toppin. They replaced about 1,350 minutes of Dre, Niang, Roddy at the 4 with Mo Gay, Onyeka Okongwu, Asa Newell. No one on the roster is under 6'4", besides Trey. They've also improved their play finishing, right? So they've got 3 new 90th percentile catch-and-shoot shooters, 3 90th percentile free throw shooters, and 4 75th percentile spacers and transition scorers. And they also added the creation upside in Kristaps Porzingis, who's a 95th percentile in self-created field goal volume and is shooting 11.3 points better than league average on those creation looks. He's a 97th percentile post scorer, and he gets free throw rates. He gets to the free throw line at the highest rate on post up since 2014. He has the 3 highest seasons in NBA history. And they've done all that without compromising their connectivity, right? Like Nikhil is a great secondary decision maker. Kennard is a great secondary decision maker. Or I'd say Nikhil is more like a tertiary. And then Caleb can at least make quick decisions, if not always good decisions. And then Kristaps for a 7-footer is a very good playmaker. And they still have financial flexibility. They still have roster optionality, and they still did not sabotage the defense. And I'll leave y'all with one more important statistic that I was able to pull up. But in the 3,000 possessions that Atlanta played without true positional size at the 4, when that means Dre at the 4, Niang, Barlow, or Roddy, they had a minus 5.13 net rating. And in their 4,000 possessions, they played with that true positional size, whether it's Jalen, Mo Gay, or Larry Nance Jr., they were a plus 2.55. That's a plus 7.68 swing. Okay. And so what's really helpful is, yes, we still do have a long-term hole at backup wing, We need a sizable leap from Zach, both weight-wise, but also wing skill-wise. The fact that we're going to have a really tenable front court and you have a plethora of options to play at the 4 and actual NBA guys, actual NBA athletes, actual power forward skill set guys will work wonders for this team. Right now, it's all about the pieces around that. It allows you to play, possibly play Nico at the 3, where he is a little bit undersized, but he's scrappy enough, and you have enough size in the front court to maybe make it work. So Hawks are in a great position, man. I'm waiting to see what this last roster spot is, this last two-way spot, so I can make this video about the overall roster decisions. I am cooking up a Porzingis video, Nikhil, Luke, and then any other additional additions we get before we get that final wrap up. But hope you all are enjoying Summer League. Hope you all are enjoying the breakdowns. I definitely enjoy doing them, of course. And yeah, hope you all have a great rest of your day.